How about the Buccaneers and the Lions? The Bucs,
your squad, man.
Hey, they want me to stop saying they want me to stop saying nice things about them.
No,
they would appreciate.
You're screwed, Tampa. Now I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
It's going to be more than me after that.
Yeah,
I predicted they would be eating cats in Michigan, and they ate some cats yesterday.
So
the Bucs, to go back to where they had just played their last road game.
Yeah,
and They knew exactly what it was going to be. That's where I talked to Baker Mayfield about that. They knew it was going to be extremely loud.
Yes.
They've lived it.
Right.
So, and it was just as loud yesterday as it was in the playoffs. Yeah, and playoffs have a different vibe, but it was just as loud, and they were able to deal with it, and they were able to take the best punch the Lions had to step up on defense without Antoine Winfield. They lose Vita Vea during the game. To shut down the Lions, to hold them in check the way they did. That is more impressive than what happened offensively, but the straw that stirs the drink is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He's got that inherent feistiness, that chippiness, that attitude, and it permeates the whole team. I think his attitude permeates the Bucs more than Tom Brady's did the championship year of 2020.
Yeah, and I think there's some similarities in their chippiness and how they can rub off on the team that way. Definitely. Baker Mayfield is tough, gritty. He fits a Todd Bowles type of football team, and of course he's aggressive, making plays. And this is really the difference of the game yesterday is that the Bucs scored touchdowns, and right now Detroit's having a hard time getting in the end zone, and they're settling for field goals, which we haven't seen Detroit do really in the last year and a half since they became a really good football team. But that was the big thing, and I think you're hitting on it. I mean, Baker Mayfield, again, this was another game where statistically Detroit had more yards. It looks more impressive, but in the big moments, the Bucs made all the big plays, and that goes to Baker Mayfield too. I even wrote in my notes as I was watching the game, I don't care what the stats are. I said Baker is balling. Every time they needed a big throw in the big moment, he hit it, or here's a chance to make a big play, score a touchdown, whatever. He hit it there. They faced the Lions for the third time in the calendar year, and you could tell too that Todd Bowles got a little feel for the Ben Johnson defense. They didn't just get run over in the run game. The run game didn't get going into the second half for Detroit, and they caused problems. They pressured Jared Goff. He was thrown off his back foot a little bit, and he threw some bad interceptions. One really bad on the fringe red zone where he threw it down the middle. But, yeah, he looks a little off kilter the first 2 weeks, Jared Goff. Not like what we saw.
55 passes thrown yesterday by Jared Goff, 34 completed, 307 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns, passer rating of 61.7, which is not good. 61.7 is not good.
No, it's not good. They don't want to play that way.
They made that huge investment. At some point, Dan Campbell said before the season they expect more out of him this year. They're going to have him do more things. And I said this last night, and look, I've come around on Jared Goff because I think he has improved, and I think the way that he got kicked to the curb by the Rams caused him to access a higher level of performance and ability. But is there a limit to how far he can take you?
Yes. There is a limit if the game gets like this, because he's not going to make plays or backyard plays or carry your team when you don't protect well or wait, guys aren't getting open. I'll buy time and get out of the pocket and get people. That's where it's not. Now, if things are functioning at a high level in front of him on the offensive line, then he will take advantage of every yard that's there to be had. But see, these situations there, it's he can't move. He can't extend the play. Right, they get the big stop there. It was a drive or two before that when he threw the interception and had people in his face there. But yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row where you felt like, hey, the Lions were good on offense, but it's not quite clicking the way it was at the end of the last season.
They could be 0-2.
They easily could be 0-2.
They had to dig deep.
Right.
They had to dig deep to come back and force overtime against an overmatched Rams team that has a mash unit. And it gets worse and worse every week, but they could be 0-2. They should feel very fortunate to be 1-1. They've got some work to do to get back to what they were last year.
Definitely. Aiden Hutchinson, to your point with Baker, right. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson was all over the place in the game yesterday. 4.5 sacks, right? I knew they were going to take that half a sack away from him. The guy touched him on his way down. But the Bucs were starting to back up right tackle. Gadecki was out. They had to start. Maybe you can get his name for me. It's Stoll, or I always forget his name, but 77 had no chance against Hutchinson on the right side. He was constantly abused by him all day long. That was an issue, but that's a credit to Baker Mayfield for how he hung in there. He did throw one dumb interception, but other than that, played the game really clean and tough. And like I said, and like you said, made a few plays when he needed to get out of the pocket or hung in the pocket and took some hits to make some big throws in some big moments.
Justin Skule,
Skule,
almost Skull, but based on how he played yesterday, I don't think the Vikings want him, especially not against Aiden Hutchinson. 4.5 sacks, and I asked Baker, how does that affect your game? And you just have to accelerate everything, but you can't overly accelerate it because the guys got to get open.
Yeah.
You can't just throw the ball until guys are open. But you really have to move it along, and you don't want to stare at the rush, but you're conscious of it. He said the guy's got no off switch, and I asked him, what's the conversation?
Yeah.
He said, he doesn't say anything to me, and I don't say anything to him. I'm not going to chirp back at him if he doesn't say anything.
Aiden Hutchinson's, I think, entered another level of defensive performer, right? Where Aiden Hutchinson, one of the better defensive players in football, has now gone to, no, Aiden Hutchinson's a top tier, no question, one of the best defensive players in football. I think he has officially arrived in the stratosphere of TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett type of football player. And it goes beyond the stat sheet too, because he's really a F the play up guy too. That's really impressive as well.
What are the Jaguars thinking? I mean,
I know.
It's not like Trayvon Walker is horrible.
Right. But
it's
he ain't
always
this guy.
tough. It's always tough to take a defensive guy with the first overall pick in the draft, because unless you're getting 3 sacks a game, you don't compare favorably or easily to an offensive player. But Hutchinson, I mean, and it worked. I mean, they gave the Lions a hell of a gift by not taking him, because they allowed this great
culture,
story.
a hometown
and
guy,
maybe he wouldn't be
all
as
of
great in Jacksonville.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. But either way, he's clearly the better player. Trayvon Walker's a good player. No, don't get me wrong, and I think you said it right. But Aiden Hutchinson has proven to be special and definitely one of the best defensive players in football.
Dan Campbell had a rough day as head coach of the Lions.
There
was
a big
clock
moment
at the end of the half,
Yeah.
and it screwed things up there. Here he is taking blame for what went wrong yesterday for the Lions.
I asked for improvement from last week, was the story. And we did improve. And their coach cost them. Their head coach cost them this one. So, critical error into half, and 100% on me. We improved. There's areas we got to continue to improve on, but it's not okay.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is pass was completed.
Explain it,
The offense ran up to spike the ball to set up the field
hurry
goal.
up, spike it.
Right. But members of the field goal team were
sent
coming on.
people out. Right.
So they got penalized for too many men on the field.
Yep.
10-second runoff. No time left.
Should have gone in
there
13
goes the
to
field
9,
goal.
right? Instead it was 13-6.
Yeah, there goes the field goal.
Right.
And who knows how that would have changed the second half. But that's 3 points that does – the loss of 3 points goes right to the head coach.
Yeah, well, you don't know. And what I love about it right there is just takes it like a man. Does the right thing. It'll not be an issue at all. The locker room's going to respect how he handled that situation. He'll be better that way. I mean, he's been a guy that's been, gutsy, we know, but for the most part, a pretty damn good game manager. They did have the fake punt they succeeded on, I think, on a 4th and 10 yesterday. So he's still biting kneecaps and doing all that. But, they messed up there a little bit. Detroit's still real damn good.
Yeah, look, a long season.
Right.
They would have loved to have started. Everybody wants to start 2-0. But at the same time, all that it means when you're 1-1 is your best possible record will be 16-1. That's all it means. So we'll see what the Lions can do turning it around. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL. And how you respond. I remember last year, week 2, they lost at home to the Seahawks.
Yes,
a barn burner.
You're right. Like 37-34.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And you just have to respond to it. And last year they did. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.